working on Stacy, as Mushroom hinted. And we're lucky enough to be part of the same writing group and have been for years. I've known Mushroom since he was a little tiny writer, only now he's grown up and has this marvelous book
He writes
of
small
his
things.
second novel. So I'm proud, very proud to be part of this. I'm going to read a very short piece. I timed it so I'd be sure it was short, which is a sequel to my last novel, The Young Comedians, which is about two guys in high school back in, as in Barbara McMillan's book, back in the 1950s, except on this coast rather than the other coast. Okay. And so Jack fell in love with Darla. It was an awful and frightening thing to see. For the last 2 weeks, he'd been either dreamy or mopey, minus the usual Jack grin or fake tap dancing steps. The thing is, he had never been in love before and didn't know how to go about it. Not that I really did either. Darla was a self-absorbed freak of nature, usually somber and moody, and when she smiled, I thought she looked a little predatory, like a crow that's found another bird's chick. She was an unlikely object of affection for anybody, but not to Jack. Her strange mistress of the dark outfits and snappy hip chick dialogue to him were like the iambic pentameter of a goddess, a Mona Lisa in black leotard with jangly jewelry. One Saturday afternoon, Jack and I took a drive down PCH together. We pulled off the Coast Highway to have a smoke by the beach. As we were lighting up, he told me about the song he had written for Darla. Song? Yeah, you gotta dig this. He now said, dig for everything in imitation of Darla. He tossed aside the Pall Mall he just lit, threw back his arms, and sang, and sang the first line. I love you just as much this morning as I did last night. I snorted, thinking he was putting me on. He had adopted the manner of the early Frank Sinatra, the dreamy crooner Bobby Soxers had fainted over. On Jack, it just came across as wimpy. I had no desire to faint like a Bobby Soxer. You're kidding, right? This had to be a put-on. Jack was great at doing lampoon imitations of dumb performers who deserved to be imitated. But that's the song you wrote for Darla? He gave me a dark look. Yeah, this is the song. Now stop horsing around and give it a chance. He threw his head and arms back. Now loosen up and prepare to be amazed. We were at the edge of the beach parking lot where sand was blowing across our shoes. Okay, I listened, not horsing around. He closed his eyes and continued in the same weepy crooner voice, like he was about to faint himself. It made me think I was going to have to slap him around to make him quit. I love you just as much this morning as I did last night. You mean more to me than the sun. You have turned my world to light. He was so sincere, spreading his long fingers and closing his eyes behind his Clark Kent glasses on the high notes. It was scary. I almost dropped my own smoke. He was not only sincere sounding, though off key, but deadly goofy serious. I was used to Jack doing lampoons of stupid stuff like his Paulanka song, Paulinka, Paulanka, but this was different. Jeez, I muttered, almost dumbstruck. It was so different that I stumbled backwards and sat down awkwardly on a mound of ice plant growing from the sand. You have made my heart a melody. Oh, can't you see my plight? I love you just as much this morning as I did last night. He popped his eyes open, taking a little bow for the benefit of the empty beach, expectantly. Reluctantly, I clapped my hands a couple of times. So, what'd you think? Great, huh? I moved my mouth at last. Wow, I said in a small voice. I'll bet you can't believe what you just heard. Oh, that's the truth. What did you like in particular? When it was over, I thought. I searched for something. Plight. Yeah, plight. Plight's a hell of a rhyme. Goes right with night, flight, and whatever. Trite. I didn't use trite. Skip a little bit here. I could imagine, yes, this was Darla's work. I tried to imagine her listening, while in the meantime Jack did backflips and walked on his hind legs, hoping for a Darla treat. He sighed. I just wish Darla liked it. Wait a minute, you sang it for her and she didn't like it? Oh yeah, I sang it for her last night. And she didn't dig it? She said it needed some work to be really cool, some cooler language maybe, like I dig you just as much this morning, like that. I was thinking of maybe getting some guys in band class to give me some drums and maybe a little trumpet in the background. Truth is, I don't know what to do to impress her. All she seems to like to do is smoke, drink her mom's wine when she's not around, and make out. Well, that doesn't sound too bad. Maybe making out is better than singing to her. But the other night, she called me Joe. Joe. Then sat up and stared at me like I was a stranger and re-snapped herself. Joe? Yeah, that's the ex-boyfriend in prison. Jack's voice sounded bitter. I remember, I said. Joe was a big guy, older than us, with a 5 o'clock shadow and a leather jacket. The one with a motorcycle who got arrested for possession outside the hutch. That's him. He gazed moodily out to sea again. You better ease off her. Sounds like she's got her mind on other things. He took off his horn rims and wiped them on his t-shirt. Other things, huh? Like Joe, for example. Yeah, like Joe, the big scary ex-boyfriend with a motorcycle. Ha, said Jack, throwing back his chest unconvincingly. I eat guys like Joe for breakfast. You don't eat breakfast, you just drink coffee. Well, I drink guys like Joe for, never mind. Listen to this. He jumped up on the concrete balcony by the beach, did a couple of those fake tap dancing steps and said, this time, try to imagine it with drums and trumpet, maybe some piano too. I dig you just as much as crazy morning as I did last crazy night. Doobie-doo. There was a major difference. The real fearless Jack spirit had returned. He sang this not in the Frankie crooner, easy, mellow style, but in the finger-snapping, doobie-doo, big orchestra Vegas Sinatra style, as though he had the whole Nelson Riddle Orchestra behind him, and long-legged showgirls serving drinks, adding lots of Jack flourishes and tap dance steps of his own. A surfer couple by the lifeguard station turned to listen and clapped when he finished. That's cool, man, the surfer yelled, and his girlfriend giggled and called, cool. And the story goes on from there. Thank you. And now, the moment we've really been